Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. If we could say the Pledge of Allegiance
Give me 1 second.
for the flag here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Larry Armstrong, Sean Douglas,
Here.
Michael Howry,
Here.
Michelle Hayes,
Here.
Dean Sensi.
Here.
All right, so Angela, I know you wanted to modify the agenda before we approved it.
Yes, I would like to pull tonight the approval or the motion to for the athletic complex grounds manager. Some more conversation about that.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the agenda minus that item?
One more adjustment, Angela. Remember I asked you to make a change and you did on that.
Yes.
I think I know why. It should probably be 2020, 2021.
Oh, okay, so you
Yeah.
wanted to go back?
Yeah, I think so. That I understand now why the dates were that way, and I forgot to
Okay.
talk to you about it today.
Okay, that
So-
is fine. So then we're gonna make a change to the vacation motion. And where it says, and I'll read it with the right date.
Okay. Sorry about that. I just
That's okay.
remembered I forgot to call you last night about it.
Oh, that's okay.
Any other ones?
That's it.
Okay, well, do we have a motion to approve the agenda with those two modifications?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Sean Douglas,
Yes?
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
vote is 4-0.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the May 6, 2020 regular meeting?
I'll move.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
vote is 4-0.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the May 19th, 2020 regular meeting?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
vote is 4-0.
All right, we'll now open the first public participation portion for the evening. This will be on agenda items only. Anyone wishing to address the board would have 5 minutes to do so. If you could state your name and address, please.
So since there's only two people, members of the public, if they just want to give me a thumbs up, I'll unmute them. Okay.
All right, seeing none, do we have anybody wishing to give board member reports? All right, then reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
Thank you. I don't have anything to talk about other than what is, just the agenda items. So I'm going to move right into the resolutions. The first is to approve the financial reports for all funds, fund-to-fund transfer report, and the check payment register for May 2020.
Move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Is there a question or? Give me 1 second. My speakers are really low. That's all it's going to get. Okay.
We had a motion, a second, there was no discussion, and we were calling for roll call.
Thank you. Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes?
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Vote is 4-0. The next items are to accept a generous donation of $200 from James Herholtz to North Elementary School to be used to purchase fifth grade yard signs. Donation of $100 from Joe Longo to North Elementary School to be used to purchase fifth grade yard signs. Donation of $100 from James Mayer to North Elementary School to be used to purchase fifth grade yard signs. And finally, a donation of $100 from Daryl Diabate to North Elementary School to be used to purchase fifth grade yard signs.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Don Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
yes,
Vote is 4-0. The next item is probably the first one I've done since I've gotten here. We have a $50 limit on petty cash, and we reimburse somebody $80.51. And in the COVID area that we're in, it didn't make a lot of sense for that person to try and bring the $80.51 back in, have us redeposit it, write her a check for $80.51. It was going to be logistically a little harder to do. So I'm just having this resolution passed, and this is the first time in a number of years that we've had somebody exceed the $50 limit. So I don't think it's going to be habit forming. I just need the resolution so to make the auditors happy.
I'll move.
second,
Any discussion? Roll call?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. How many years did you say that it had been before it exceeded the 50?
I don't think it's happened since I've gotten here.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
been 9 years. You know,
Okay.
typically would say, just bring the money back in, we'll fix the records, we'll correct the records and send you a check. But there was no reason to have this person bring money back in and all of that handling that had to happen.
Yeah. No, I'm good with that. I know here at the church that's happened a lot, and then sometimes we just bump it up to $100. But if you're good with 50, that's fine. Just a minute point.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
yes,
John Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0. The next item is to approve Fund 467, the Student Wellness and Success Funds. It's actually been used most of the year, and I went back and looked through the board agendas and the board minutes and didn't see where we approved it, so I need it for the auditors.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
yes,
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0. And the next item is a resolution authorizing the treasurer to purchase an employee dishonesty and faithful performance of duty policy through the Schools of Ohio Risk Sharing Authority to provide coverage for those school officers, employees, or appointees who are otherwise required by law to acquire a surety bond before entering upon the discharge of public duties per revised code 3.061. I sent the board an email on this prior to them changing the law in early 2019. We had to purchase a separate bond for coverage for wrongful acts by employees. But since 2019, we've been allowed to have this coverage within our standard insurance policy. I checked with Sorsa and it is included. And since the bond expires June 30th of this year, we thought it was a good idea not to renew the bond, save the $703 and just continue the coverage with our insurance company.
Makes sense. I'll move.
second,
Any discussion? Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
yes,
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0. The next item is to approve the transfers and advances that are listed in the agenda. These are all, transfers are a permanent distribution of money to the certain fund, and an advance is a loan which will be repaid during the next fiscal year. As you can see, the biggest part is going to either preschool or special education, that's IDEA, and the Title I programs. That's where the majority of our transfers are going, because the federal government just does not fund us to the degree that we need. And the others are advances, which I expect to be repaid, which is typically us spending money and then having to request it from the government. Food service I put in as an advance because I think they're going to get a payment from the state of Ohio for the food that they distributed in June of about $40,000. I may come to you early next fiscal year with a transfer to basically reset them to zero after we know how much money they'll bring in over the summer due to the programs that they're offering. Any questions on that?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0. The next item is to approve final appropriations for fiscal year 2020, beginning with the general fund of $28,135,162 and ending with miscellaneous federal grants 599 of $29,009.68 for a total of $37,171,236.70.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0. And the final item is to approve temporary appropriations for fiscal year 2021, starting with General Fund 001 in the amount of $7,033,790.50, ending with miscellaneous federal grants 599 of $7,252.42 for a total of $9,204,375.08. These numbers are 25% of the final appropriations for 2020. We are allowed to pass a temporary resolution which allows us to operate until the end of September using this 25% of appropriations.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah. Was anybody else, was Mike cutting out for anybody else during that? I couldn't hear all of what Mike was saying.
Which part, well, I guess you don't know which part you missed. Where did I cut out? And I can fill you in.
Well, I'm just gonna abstain from this particular vote because I couldn't hear all of it.
Okay.
Would you like Mike to reread it?
If he wants to, he can.
Sure. It's, I'll just say that the temporary appropriations are 25% of the final appropriations from the current fiscal year. It allows us to operate until the end of September under temporary appropriations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so we were on discussion, right? So any other discussion, right?
Yes.
Okay, roll call?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Reports of the administrative team.
Right. I would like to start tonight by introducing our new high school assistant principal, Doug Baker. He is a longtime Lake County educator. The last several years, he's been in Montana at an elementary school in Helena, right?
Helena, yeah.
Yeah, you could share a little bit more about yourself.
Right.
Doug was a teacher at Memorial, and I actually taught with Doug for a couple years when I was in Mentor. He was an assistant principal at Memorial and a principal at Shore. So he brings to us a wealth of experience. And during this very uncertain time of COVID-19, he's somebody that can jump right in without having to have much of a learning curve. Because I don't think after, as many years as education as he's been in, after COVID-19, not much can surprise us, right, Doug?
All right. Absolutely. So thank you for the opportunity to join the administrative team in Madison. I look forward to working with Angela and Bill and Jack and the high school students at Madison High School and getting to know the community. I'm not really a stranger to Lake County, as Angela said. And in fact, my dad used to own a drugstore there in Madison back in the late 60s and early 70s, called Baker Drugs. So long time ago, but it's a pleasure for me to be part of the administrative team and to join the community. A couple of my staff members when I was at Shore have students in Madison High School, Angie Laurie and Marcy Wolleben have kids there. And, I look forward to working with all of the kids and the teachers in the administrative team. So thank you for the opportunity. And I'd certainly welcome any questions. I'm out here in Big Sky Country until Monday, and then I'm hitting the road and heading east. So look forward to being back in Ohio, and hopefully I had a good feeling about the Browns this coming fall. So I wanted to make sure I get back there for the football season.
Demonstrated poor judgment already, I can see.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
Keep that one up for you.
right. We'll get them next year.
So what's in Montana that took you to Montana?
Well, I lived out here from 79 to 87, and then I returned to Ohio where I was a teacher and a principal for 28 years. My dad passed away in 2015, and I needed a change. So I came out here and got my credentials to be an elementary principal, and I did that for 3 years. And now I just want to get back to where my daughter is. She's a nurse at Hillcrest in Mayfield. And so I want to get back and see her and be with my golden retriever. So looking forward to being back.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Are you a fisherman?
Yes. Yep.
There you go, Mr. David Bull.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome, Doug.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Look forward to meeting everybody in person if we ever have that opportunity.
That's going to happen. We just have to keep our fingers crossed that
Right.
this thing slows down. I do need a meeting next Wednesday, board. I think we need to continue to have a discussion surrounding the calendar. I'm still reviewing options and trying to get a handle on several things. One, we're still waiting for the guidance from the governor. I'm going to stop holding my breath because I want to live till next Wednesday. But supposedly Tuesday is the big announcement, we think. He said 1 week on Tuesday, so Tuesday he has to commit. There's some things, once we see the guidance from the governor, that'll give us a clear indication of, where we are in preparing for the start. The other big piece is ensuring that we have the PPE that's going to be required to open school. So I will have drafts available on Wednesday for us to talk about and do first readings on. And it doesn't mean that we're changing it as of this date, but we need to have a 30-day hearing under statute to make any changes. So this would be a first reading on Wednesday. We also should have the transportation agreement for Wednesday, and I can give you an update on the guidance from the state as well as what the administrators talk about on Monday as we start to dig into our plans and details for the coming school year. I do want to talk briefly tonight about the survey results. I received the report today, so I'm just sharing a quick snapshot tonight. But it's very interesting, and I will be putting those together for you to also have for our meeting on Wednesday. We asked the one question about basically their remote learning experiences. And what happened in the thought exchange is parents answered the question, staff answered on a separate survey, and then as parents answered or made comments, others could comment and or rate the thoughts on a 5-point scale. So to give you a kind of idea, when I start talking about some things that were, a 4 or higher, that meant they got a lot of reaction or feedback. But on the parent survey, we had 597 participants. 84% of those were parent only, 16% because we wanted to see where staff fell into that had students in the school system. So they identified themselves as parent and staff. And from the parent survey, 2 groups emerged. There was a group A that remote learning is not acceptable and schools should resume on a full-time basis. There were 96 people or households that fell into this group, respondents. Group B, and there were 86 of these, remote learning is acceptable if the virus is still around at the time we start school. So 2 ends of the spectrum, which I thought was interesting. 3 major themes emerged in the parent survey: teacher-student interaction and virtual classroom frequency. That was one theme, and no matter which group people fell into, they felt there needed to be online interaction between students and teachers with regular check-ins. They also felt that regular video and Google Meets, teachers need to interact more in this remote learning environment, not less. And this was interesting because I think parents got to see firsthand sometimes the types of assignments, and they, as I wouldn't say co-teacher, but a lot of parents were helping their kids with the work and seeing more what was going on. They said they felt the need to assign relevant work, not just busy work. And that's a conversation we have when we're in regular, in a normal setting. What is the idea behind work and is it meaningful? Another theme that emerged consistently was they like the idea that work should be posted at the beginning of the week. And under one of the highest rated miscellaneous thoughts, it was a very positive thought for our staff in the district. Overall, at Madison, the staff at Madison did an excellent job pulling together for students to finish out the school year. Thank you for your dedication. The staff set a great example not only to our students, but to the parents as well. They reflected positivity and teamwork, and that was rated 4.1 on a 5-point scale. And that means there were a lot of people that responded to that thought in the thought exchange. At staff participants, we had 113 staff surveys returned. 75% of them were staff only. 25% consisted of staff and parent. There were more themes that emerged. One was talking about proper technology and tech training, and this was for both families and staff, because we had all sorts of levels of technology comfort as everybody was pulled into Google Classroom, and sometimes for the first time. They did feel that the Google Classroom was beneficial. Staff felt that there were problems with people's internet connectivity, and that is from the amount of time people probably were testing a system. Because I heard that often, that my internet's slow, or, because there were a lot of people at home streaming, doing online school, all of those things. The amount of screen time for kids, because there would be, our students were on, for a long time at times. So, balancing that. Another theme that emerged was more engagement from student and families. And in this theme really were the people that, while we had a lot of people participate, our staff really worried about those that weren't engaged. And a lot of the comments under that theme emerged that way. Another was higher expectations needed going forward. I think if we had remote learning in any capacity next year, we would have to have some very serious conversations about grading, because again, we were thrust into this environment. Now we have a better idea where we might be with it. So we have to work on what those expectations are. Socialization was another theme, because kids do need interaction. And as they are still talking about social distancing and not having play dates and all of those things, I just saw a news clip today about that especially younger children that don't know how to, keep their hands to themselves, how do we teach the proper socialization and social distancing? PD and curriculum was a concern. And here's the one positive comment that I liked out of the miscellaneous comments. We saw students succeed with online learning who struggled in school. So, there was some success there. So this is a snapshot tonight. There's a lot more to dig into with the number of comments and how it was rated, but I wanted to at least share with you kind of an overview. And the camp that was, I want my kids in school, I think there was a statement to that effect. That got a 5.0. So everybody in that camp, that group A, they want their kids back in school. So that's the goal. Questions?
So you're going to have more discussion with your staff and actually come to conclusions based on that?
It's going to help guide our planning, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Really
I'm glad you took the survey. Thank you.
Very, very, very good feedback.
Angela, I've seen some districts are actually already, doing surveys with their staff to say questions like, how many students would you feel comfortable in your classrooms? All of these sort of things. I just found it strange that districts are asking these things of their staff before we even have the guidance from the governor as to what school's supposed to look like next year. It seems like you would frame the questions once you have the guidance based.
Correct.
Okay. All right, good.
And I think Gretchen and I have talked about this numerous times. We don't want to go based on conjecture. We want to see what the guidelines are right in front of us, because that's going to dictate the work. I mean, right now, one of the things that we heard last week at the retreat, where somebody from ODE talked, that there could be this color-coded system. So if you're in a green county and you've got little cases and it's relatively controlled, you could have possibly school as normal. Right now, if you're in Hamilton County where cases are spiking, you might have a whole different way of operating. So I think the governor on these health requirements that's what's holding it up, are the health requirements. All the other pieces about curriculum, those things could be handled, but we have to know what the health requirements or guidelines are going to be to appropriately plan and start doing things like transportation routes and those types of things.
I think there was, it wasn't much, it was only, I can't find it as I'm looking here, $7,000 or something. Wasn't there some money allocated that we just approved for reduction of classroom size?
That is used as it's also a professional development grant, and we've been using that for one of our literacy.
Oh, that's nothing new then. Yeah.
No, it's not new.
Okay. Okay.
I just hope that the governor comes out with some very clear mandatory guidelines versus recommendations, because when he comes back with recommendations, we still have to be the ones to determine if we're going to follow those recommendations and how it's going to affect our students.
Yes, there are going to be guidelines, I think, but in conjunction with the local health department. And my understanding is the health department is going to be actively involved in our plans.
Yeah,
Because-
I take a little bit of I take the opposite view of that, Michelle. I'm actually thankful that they might be recommendations because, as you were sharing, counties differ. Instead of a one size fits all, it kind of puts it back in the hands of our administrative staff, our parents, and our local health department. And that way we can kind of work together on it. So there's maybe an opportunity there as well.
Well, but when it comes to busing, if they come back and say 1 student per seat is the recommendation, then we have to determine if we're going to follow that recommendation and who we're not going to bus. So I don't know that I don't know that there's any students that I wouldn't want to bus.
My understanding from the conversation last week and then on a call this morning, and I don't want to give numbers because those could change, but the idea is the governor believes that getting students to school via a bus, as we all do, is the safest way to transport kids. And he's wrestling, and that's one of the reasons why this guidance has been delayed, with how to deal with COVID-19, masks, sanitizer, and all those things, and be able to transport enough students to school. So it is one of the reasons why I think we've waited on the guidance as long as we have. So I'm cautiously optimistic that the number is going to be more than 1 student per bus or seat. But
What did you say? I missed that, Angela. What did you say?
I'm cautiously optimistic that it's going to be more than 1 child per seat. So, but it's, the part that you can have all the plans in the world, but if you can't get them to school, that negates all the planning you do.
Well, and on top of that, if you can only transport half the students and the other half to have their own transportation, or that's going to cause a logistical nightmare with drop off and pick up and kids walking on roads with no sidewalks. It would just be terrible.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing good of that scenario. Nothing. So I'm hoping Tuesday's the day.
So Angela, if they end up doing this by region, let's say our region's doing really well, I mean, like the rules for the region might change as things change. I mean, you could be doing really well and then not doing well. And then you'd have to probably implement a whole new plan, or vice versa. Hopefully you're not doing well and it improves. That'd be nice, but.
Right. Absolutely.
You almost have to do 2 plans. Plan A for whatever the guidelines are going to be, and then plan B for what if everything spikes and kind of a reoccurrence or something, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that would be more for the students that would, start the year in school, because I think there are families that are going to want remote learning based on this survey, that they're not going to be comfortable sending their
I'm hearing that. A little bit. Yeah.
And regionally, we all talked about districts, none of us are in favor of 2 days on, 2 days off. That's not even a conversation that we've had on the table.
That sounds like a nightmare.
That would
2
be,
days off. That sounds like a nightmare.
especially at the elementary level. You know, those families need consistency. The only way those parents are going to be able to go back to work is if we, you know, we run school, right?
Right.
So we're talking about, as a region, remote learning for those students that absolutely are afraid to come to school. And that would be like a school within a school. And then everybody else, you would, you know, put in classes and do those things that way. Challenge is more, I think, at the elementary level, because you could do a mixture of remote learning at the middle and high because they're based on periods. So, you know, Trish and I talked about it at the high school. You could have teachers that have classes, and then, oh, by the way, they may have a remote learning class of a section of what they teach. So that could be a possibility. Elementary is going to be a little bit more of a challenge, but we'll figure it out. We always do.
And Angela, how many teachers do we have that have expressed that they do not want to come back into the buildings to teach?
I have only had one direct contact. But we haven't asked that question yet. Because I think, and, you know, Gretchen, correct me if I'm wrong, most people want to be back in school.
I would agree. The majority of what I hear is that they want to be back. But I do know there are some that haven't necessarily come forward to administration who have health concerns, conditions. They fall into an at-risk category due to things like that. So I know that there are staff in that position who haven't necessarily come forward to an administrator and said something at this point.
I think once we get plans, we're going to see more of that.
Makes sense.
So one of the concerns I have is, you know, parents thinking that opting and saying we want our kids to, you know, do remote learning, and then having an expectation that that the rigor that their students are going to experience is going to be the same as this year when everything was thrown together at the last minute. You know, I think things are going to be more difficult when they're really trying to mirror what's happening in the classroom during what looks more typical. And so I think you're going to get parents who think, well, this is going to be a couple hour a day, maybe 2-3 hour activity for these kids, which may have been okay when we were, you know, rushed into a pandemic, but is not going to be how it would appear that I would think it would be in a more planful way. So I don't know how you plan for that, because if you give people an option, it's like you can't have them bouncing in and out of.
No, if they commit to remote learning, most of the districts are putting a parameter on it, that they're there for the semester, they're there, you know, so that if we had to make adjustments mid-year, we could.
Well, that'll be a key communication component, is making sure parents and students understand that the expectations are going to be different next year if we're able to offer remote learning versus what they experienced last school year.
Right, right. Other thoughts?
So many.
I know, my head starts with them and ends with them.
So many.
So is this good to segue to Dave Bull?
Yeah.
All right. So I just have two things tonight that I wanted to share. The Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant that we went in on with the other 6 districts and the ESC of the Western Reserve has been submitted. A lot of effort went into that, and in particular by the 2 folks who led the process from the ESC. And I've got my fingers crossed, but I have to admit I'm kind of hopeful on this one. So that would be some really nice professional development on literacy across all subject areas. So I'm hoping that this one comes through for us. And I guess what I've really been focused on the last week or so is getting our application prepared for our federal grants, our Title I, our IDEA, all the entitlement grants that we have that we'll be submitting next week. So it's a big application. It's a thing we do this time of year every year, and it's crunch time. So that's where I am. And I'm outdoors. You can hear my background noise.
And you got a puppy.
No, I did get a puppy.
You got a new puppy?
Yeah, we adopted one. The timing is a little rough because I've got a grandson coming here shortly as well, but it's all happening at once. It's just crazy.
All right, that's all good.
Yeah, that's good stuff in the world, right?
Yep.
All
I
right.
hear barking and crying.
Yeah. I'm trying to decide which one is better. I don't know.
All right. Well, if that's up, we can go right into all the recommendations and things. The first item is the agreement with OPSI local number 238. And we're asking you to approve the tentative agreement. It would be the, now agreement with OPSI local 238 effective July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021 with no base salary increase and changes to the insurance offerings as listed in Appendix A.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0.
All right, under the recommendations tonight, I'm asking you to accept the following resignation. Tricia Laurie as Madison High School language arts teacher, effective at the end of this contract year. The following unpaid leave request of Jacqueline Rhodey for the period of August 17th, 2020 through January 5th, 2021. I'm asking you to enter into the following employment contracts. Employ Marilyn Crane under a long-term substitute teacher contract from August 18th, 2020 through August 6th, 2020 to perform the duties of Shannon Stewart. I'm asking you to employ Doug Baker under a 2-year administrator's contract as Madison High School assistant principal effective August 1st, 2020 through July 31st, 2020. And I am asking you to authorize and direct the treasurer to send a salary notice for next school year to Nancy Porter. And to recall, this is the good things, Melanie Lawson for the 2021 school year under a 1-year limited contract. To recall Vince Austin for the 2021 school year under a 1-year limited contract. And then I need you to approve the following pay reduction of Melissa Klein, special needs assistant, by 62 3/4 hours over 6 pays.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Any replacements yet for the counselor, for guidance counselor at the high school?
For the, there is a sub, but we typically wait because if they have an opportunity for a job, there's no sense putting them on an agenda to hire. So we'll bring that one forward towards the end of July.
Good.
Roll call?
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0.
All right, next item on the agenda is to permit the 260-day employees the ability to transfer all unused vacation days at the conclusion of the 2019-2020 contract year to be used over the course of the next 2 contract years. No employee will be permitted to transfer more days at the conclusion of the 2020-21 school year or contract year that was unused at the end of their 2019-2020 contract year. This is a one-time consideration due to extenuating circumstances related to the COVID-19 pandemic.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
John Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0.
And on the consent calendar this evening, we have several items. To enter into a contract with Schoolcom Consultants to provide the communication support for the district at a cost not to exceed $12,000. To enter into agreement with the Lake Geauga Educational Assistance Foundation for next school year to assist high school seniors in financial aid planning for post-secondary education at a cost not to exceed $12,500. To enter into an agreement with the Madison Township Police Department and Madison Township trustees to provide school resource officers to Madison High School, Madison Middle School, and North Elementary at a cost not to exceed $75,500. And then to approve a service agreement between Madison Local School District and Re-Education Services for the education, therapy, transportation, and support for this for student or students served outside the Madison Local School District for the 2020-2021 school year.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would just like to add on the LEAF motion that they did give us a credit from our contract this year that we are going to apply towards next year. So this overall charge will be lower, actually.
So I just wanted to point out, I know there's been some nationwide discussion about law enforcement, and there's some social media discussion about whether or not we were going to continue to have school resource officers next year because of this nationwide discussion. So, you know, I would expect that we're going to have a positive vote here to renew this contract with the township, and then there'll be a different one for the village, right, Angela?
Correct, correct.
We can continue to have school resource officers. We've been, that's something we've been ahead of the game for most districts, is having a school resource officer in all of our elementary, middle, and high school buildings. So personally, I'm glad that we're continuing to do that for the safety of our students. And these are law enforcement officers. They are not security guards. These are Madison Township and Madison Village police officers.
And I would just like to piggyback on that to say that when SROs became a part of the school structure, the idea was community policing, and to create trust with police in the schools and to have them know the students and the dialogue, so that it is also serves as a form of prevention, so that they help students to make the right choices and good decisions.
Thank you. I support both of those comments, and I appreciate you making them.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0.
All right, I guess we'll now open the second public participation portion for the evening. Anyone wishing to address the board can do so on any item. State your name and address for the board, please.
So Joe, because we can't see you, I'm gonna see if you want to unmute yourself for the purpose of public participation. The other two can give a thumbs up if they want to be unmuted. Okay. Oh, hang on. Joe unmuted himself. Joe, did you
Yeah,
wanna
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to know, what is the financial situation? You know, the governor, he took some of the support away from the schools and everything. I mean, I'm hoping there's not going to be another levy put on.
Well, I'll answer the first part. Over the last couple of meetings, I've kept the board informed on how we fared between the shutdown and the governor's cuts and then the CARES Act money that we received. So the appropriations approved tonight and the revenue that we brought in brings us within about $80,000 of where we thought we would be in the 5-year forecast. The concern going forward is going to be what cuts may occur at the state level. We've only got 2 ways of making the budget around here, and that's cutting personnel or asking for new money. And I don't believe there's any motion on any agenda in the future right now to put a levy on. So if the cuts are severe enough at the state level, then we're going to have to react accordingly, like we have for the last 9 years. And we've passed 1 new levy in 29 years, and we've balanced the budget, year after year, basically through cuts. So that's the way it's going to continue to be, because I don't see a new levy being put on. No raises, no nothing. That's what we've been doing around here.
Yeah. Well, I hope not, but I'm just about tapped out.
All right, Joe, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, that's it.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the board? All right, seeing none, we do have a need for executive session. We'd be looking for a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employees or regulated individuals, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee or regulated individual unless such person requests a public hearing.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
The vote is 4-0.
All right, so we stand in recess.